Yes, yes. Hello, boys. Welcome to the match preparation video for Tuesday's fixture between Grange QAL Division 3 and Morton Excelsior. So, um, we really haven't changed our goals and our challenges for this week. Our goal will be to retain the ball across multiple phases. We really want to work into a team that is possession based, makes the most of our opportunity, and controls the game through our use of the ball and management of possession. We don't want to be playing teams, especially the teams above us in the ladder, in this sort of basketball style end to end style football, which really sort of negates a technical advantage and really leans into bigger teams. Okay, by creating by basically trying to play a open style of football. What we want to be doing is controlling the ball, creating opportunities, denying them possession, denying them opportunities, and then we can win games. Therefore, our theme is to stretch, create, and break them. So we stretch the ball. We've done it particularly well. We'll highlight that in some of the video later on. We then create opportunities. These may be create opportunities to go down the wings. These may be opportunities to exploit gaps in the middle, um, gaps in between their lines, and progress the ball forward to then break. And then, as we progress to challenge one, can we create good quality opportunities and finish them early? So we will talk about that. Challenge two, can we dominate territory and create transitional moments using an aggressive press? So we'll jump into the video. The start is going to focus. This is one thing I wanted to highlight. This is the Excelsior game. This is 19 minutes 20 in. Now, look, one thing Excelsior are is they're quite an athletic team. They're quite a physical team. By the nature of this team itself, they're very much a bit of a hodgepodge. They trial late in the window. So they get a whole bunch of boys who've essentially been knocked back by most other clubs. Um, I think this is reflected in their attitude. They're a particularly ill-tempered mob. Um, there's, there's some really shit blokes in this side. In any case, we just need to be mindful of that. And that's why we don't want to play this open, deconstructed style of football. That said, they will be a lot better than when we played them last. You could already see that the coaching staff is doing their work and they're teaching these boys to play better football. And it was evident in their play when we played them last time, more so than the first time we played them. And I expect them to be more effective when we play them next. They're coming off the back of a 3-all draw with Coomera. Tomorrow, which is the day after I record this, obviously I'm recording this on a Saturday, they will play, who do they play? I think it's North Lakes. So that will be an interesting game. My opinion is North Lakes are a stronger side than they are, but we will see. I mean, I think North Lakes are a similar side in terms of the way they play, patterns of play, but what North Lakes do have is I think they just have one or two key players who are just really quite strong. There may be boys from higher divisions. I'm not really sure. In any case, this is a passage of play. I'll just roll it. So this is a passage of play. You can see the goalkeeper. Yep, good on you, mate. He's faked one without it now. What needs to happen in this situation? I think this is Mayel. First of all, we know it. The wingers need to split these guys so we don't have such a big gap because that's asking too much of Benji to do all that running. So we need to make that adjustment to ourselves positionally. But what's important now, Benji's over here. Can't get it, so he goes out that way. So that's it. Luke just retires a little bit. Benji goes over to get to the ball. Now they love to bomb up. Okay, Griggsy gets a bit of noggin on it. Now something this big unit does. He's all over Major there. So yeah. Anyway, so the point of the story is we can keep pressure on them with the press now. We obviously have a very aggressive man-to-man press, and we will definitely use that in this fixture. But one thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to be more circumspect about how we use it against Excelsior, because they're a more physical side, they've got more speed, they've got more goal scorers. Okay, so this is another fixture. Now we use this in the breakdown when we talked about in the match. We need to get organised. You can see Benji; he's chattering away. we will talk later about where we can, where our positionally who we want to start where, if you like. So in this situation, Luke's on his way out here. Mael's going to the ball. Benji's coming out here. Riley's coming over here as the 10, which means that the 6 is going to step up onto this guy, and we're going to have the right back over here. So this is going to be what our press is going to look like. So it's effectively forming that kind of line across the front, and then across the middle of the pitch, we'll have left back, we'll have those two, and then we'll have that back over there. So it effectively creates a 4-4-2. We're basically going man for man when we press like this, which is why we've got to be careful because we need to shut down the long balls. That said, I'm not so concerned about them long balling from their 18-yard box because doesn't really give them a chance to break. When they long ball from about 10 metres their side of halfway, that's when there's the opportunity for us to get caught out at the back. So we'll just let it roll through. So there we go. Benji's over there to shut him down. But as you can see, we're player for player. So we're exactly how we should be, okay? And this is why they can't escape. Their little boy, he's got Griggsy on his back. Sucks to be you. You've got Riley there. You've got Isaac there. We've got Mayel closing down that space. We've got Luke over on this side. Now Luke Payne's come across one. So that's good. So this is all working. Now, long story short, he's going to dribble back, and eventually Griggy's going to find a way to get the foot in, and he's going to boot it out. Really effective press means they're throwing the ball out from that corner, really opens the game up for us. Now, this 8:57, I think this is an example where we just weren't organised enough, okay, with this press. So, okay, ball goes all the way back. Now, admittedly, so in this situation, Isaac, the keeper's going to get the ball. So you need to be starting to think about getting your shape up because where we can see you are the right winger. So you need to get your shape up. So you either need to become the striker. I'm not sure where Mael's gone, but this appears to be Benji here because what we need to be getting is we need to be getting this shape right. Okay, because otherwise it's going to make it too easy for them to play through us. So we need to be getting this shape. If not, we just have to delay. So this situation, probably back off, because if we see how it plays through, you kind of know where he picks it up. That's good. Now, what happens now is we get ourselves organised again. You can see Mayel knows where he needs to be. I think Mayel was attacking and he was tracking back. So he's here, Benji's here, Riley's there. This is Luke Payne's man. Isaac's recovering out to the side. So this is basically where we've got this is basically where we have our 4 across the top. Now, this is if we're crossing as a team of 4, okay, which works. So this is the start of it, and that's the rest as it goes out through there. So we'll watch it. We'll watch how this evolves as we roll through. Mayel's going to the ball. Now, the reason I wanted to be on this is in this situation, Lukey, you need to be more advanced than that. Mayel's pushing the ball off to the side. Luke Payne is just behind this guy. Riley's got his guy. Benji needs to be moving into the space to make sure that they can't come back that way. So that's where Benji needs to be moving into. We can see that Isaac over on the other side, he's actually got 2 because the other centre back hasn't come across. But as we see the play roll across, so Luke hasn't come across. In this instance, this is where we talk about trigger movement. So, Luke, you know where the ball's going. So what you need to be doing, and this is for anyone, when you're marking someone and you're needing to pick them up, as soon as that ball leaves their feet, you need to be sprinting to bridge the gap. You don't need to sprint all the way out to the player and get yourself beaten. But what you do need to do is as soon as the ball's moved, that's when you move. Because preferably you want this guy to be aware that you're coming before they get a touch on the ball, because they're going to be preoccupied with controlling the ball. So the less time they have to look at what's going on, plot their next move, the better. Because if this guy's got time when he gets on the ball, then that can allow them to escape, because we can see that down here he's got the line available, which is something we did quite well with Major and Will, and earlier in the half with Zach and Isaac down that side. Move the ball to the flank quickly, especially if there's space, and you need to communicate to get that. So anyways, we'll roll it a little bit further. So now Luke comes in. Now Mayel, you know what? it's pretty handy as long as you close down the ball. What you got to make sure you do though, so just to put the spotlight on Mayal, if you are the striker in this situation where Mayal is, okay, what you need to make sure that you do is you got to make sure you don't allow them to escape by overcommitting and allowing them to pass back to the goal kick to their centre back. Because if the ball can go, so if this guy can pass the ball back to this bloke, he can then bang, and he's then got a whole bunch of opportunities to exploit us and escape. Okay, so we've got to be careful of that, and we need to be especially careful because Excelsior are a much more dangerous team on the break than these boys are. Okay, so we need to be really mindful of that. They've got they got some boys who are a real handful further up the field. Then we move forward. This is 22:04. We'll just let it roll. Zaki flicks it in. Jeez. That's obviously 22:04. I'm on 20:30. No wonder it was the wrong piece of footage. Apologies for that, boys. So we'll go back to 22:00. So this is the last bit of press footage that we're going to be considering. Okay, so he goes out this way. So you can see what's happened here. And this is just a little bit of fine tuning, boys. So I'm just going to mark the Ipswich players. So we love seeing this. You know, we've got their their right back pegged in the corner. We do need to be more, excuse me, we do need to be more organised in how we press, okay? And it's all communication because we've got Luke, we've got Mayel, we've got Benji. This guy needs to be picked up. So Mayel, Benji, so this is the number 8. So that's going to be Riley's man, and then the number 6 comes up here, and then Luke comes up here. So what we've got to think about it as is, what we've got to think about it as is 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, and then the other side 3. So we've effectively got 2 lines of 4 across the top, which is then going to mean our centre backs are man on man versus what is essentially going to be their attackers. Okay, so we'll see how it rolls through. So, and yeah, you can see we've kind of made a meal of it because when you're trying to press man for man in that fashion, we've got these 2 boys. So Francis and Griggsy have made a bit of a meal of it. You'll note the time of the game. The time of the game is 20:28. Okay, so it might be and this goes down to decision making and game awareness, which is really where we're getting to in our development. If we've just made substitutions, maybe we need to be a little bit more circumspect about when we press aggressively like this. Like maybe when we've got new players on, we just go a little bit easier on the press for a couple of minutes. And then once they've found their feet, figured out who's who in the zoo, then we go the aggressive press, okay? As it turns out, this is where I will roll through and we will now transition. We'll now transition to can we create good quality opportunities and finish early? And that's exactly what this bit of footage expands into. Because as we can see, what he does is he attempts. I think this is a really good example of getting a centre back on their non-preferred foot because this is a shit pass. Like there's no 2 ways about it. It's a really dog shit pass. What he's trying to do is he's trying to execute a pass to find this boy because he doesn't want to pass across his own goals. He knows he's on his less preferred left foot. What it creates is the opportunity, and there's a couple of things I want to highlight in where Benji is. You can see Benji, he's walking back, and what he does is he's aware of what he wants to try to do. So if you watch him, he will open his body up and get contact with the ball that's furthest from any defender, and then he takes it first time. So if we watch it, you can see, gets there, okay, first touch, opens his body, spins, Next touch takes the goal. Really, really good. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Can we create quality opportunities and can we then finish them early? The next one I'm going to highlight with this is also from the Ipswich game because I like to keep it. Fresh and current. And this is Will's finish, which ultimately got us home. He does have a happy habit of scoring match-winning goals. Will he got the match-winning? I can't remember who it was against. Once one of the teams we should beat. Now, look, this is very it's very Luke. Luke loves to lump it into the area. There is nothing doing here, if I'm honest. You know what I mean? Like Will has four defenders on him. You can see them. They do a really good job of bunching up Ipswich. They're really good at crowding up and all the rest of it. So anyway, there they are. Ball goes over. Now Will's in the chase. The keeper kind of comes for it, then goes, no, I've changed my mind. Now Will sizes it up. This is a really good opportunity. He could have just waited for the ball, brought it down and tried to recycle it. But he realises he's got a chance. So he just used his body and bang, first time over the goalkeeper. Thank you very much. Really, really good really, really good bit of play and a really good example of creating good quality opportunities and finishing them early. Okay. I would argue that that was probably a little bit more of a speculator than what I would ideally like to highlight. But, you know, fair enough. It is what it is. Now, I'm pretty sure I've worked through, I've kind of reversed the order a bit. We haven't really gone through the can we retain the ball across multiple phases. We've focused on the press and then we've focused on basically scoring. But we're just going to wind back now to look at the goals. Now, these are probably more lengthy phases. These are also the Ipswich goals. The last bits of footage I've got are going to be of them specifically. Now, 78-42, these are good examples of something we did very, very well. I thought we did the best job that we have all season against Ipswich of this, which was stretching the opposition. Okay, so here we are. We've got the ball. Now, easiest thing on earth would be to go too direct, but you've got Major getting back into shape. Okay, so we're getting our shape back. Griggsy drops back, straight back to Zachy. Zachy's got the ball, goes to Max. Notice Major drops back to receive. Major receives. Now, this is a really good point because the temptation for Will, and what we often do in this situation is lump it forward. But he's got the time and the composure. He watches it unfold. He knows he has Mayal here. He knows he has Griggsy coming across. But then he realises, so he stops the ball because he realises the defender's coming in on him. Griggsy's marked. This defender's tracking back. Mayal is the best option. So he just draws, passes, and then there he is. Some really, really good, smart football from Mayal here. Not dribbling, trying to take on like half the opposition team. Gets the ball here. Now, Mayal's really good on his close control. So in that situation, that's not stressful for him at all because he's really good with the ball at his feet and goes back to Zachy. Zachy comes across to Lukey. Now, in this situation, we probably could have just as easily come back to Zach and exploit the space. Just move him around until we find the space. Because one thing that we have a lot of, okay, in this situation is we've got Major in a truckload of space. We've got Griggsy in space and we've got a whole lot of space in this sort of area. Heaps of space. But that's fine because with that case, what we end up doing is we end up going direct. That's fine. We've created a 1v1 for the winger. Unfortunately, the touch is not ideal, so we end up turning over the ball. But that's fine. We've got wide. We've created the space. We've created a 1v1 for our wingers, and a winger should do well in a 1v1. A good example of this where it panned out a little differently is way back at 15-10. Because way back at 15-10, we'll go all the way back to that. Now, this is so in that situation, what we did earlier is we moved the ball wide and then exploited the flanks, okay? What we do in this situation is we find space in the middle. Okay, you can see Max has identified the run. He's identified the run of Riley, who's going to run over and receive the ball. We've opened up the space, and he's going to receive here, and then he's going to have opportunities. So we have stretched them, and we have created this opportunity, and then what's going to happen is Riley's going to take a touch, and then he's going to break their line with a really good pass. Luke, look, honestly, in this situation, Luke was just guilty of rushing things. You don't need to rush things. You're 1v1 as a winger. You're good enough to beat this guy. My preference would be to see you to cut back, drive in to the box and see if you can square the ball back, because we just end up producing a really ineffective cross, which it was always going to be a difficult cross because, you're running away. It's a moving ball. Everything was stacked against you. We can then come back, and we can even go back a little further, okay? And these are examples of Max breaking the line, okay? Zach can break the line. It's just in this particular fixture, the best two examples I could find happened to be Max doing it. It's the reason why we have the centre backs that we have. Ball goes to Max. Now Max has identified, and they're barely in shot, but he's identified, I think it's Isaac here. So in this situation, something that to be next level, what we want Benji to do, we want Benji to drop in so that he can help, because the pass is going to come to Zach, but he's also going to have an opposition. The probably long passes is the longer they are, the more the opposition has a chance to read them. So by the time he gets the ball, he's going to have someone on his back. So Benji needs to be planning in one step ahead to receive the ball from Isaac, because what happens, Isaac gets the ball and Benji's unable to help because you're not in a position to receive the ball. If you moved into this space or moved into this space, then you could receive it. So look, anyway, it's just building our play. We're doing well. I'm really happy with how we're progressing with our football. So 84, 34. And this was more of the same. Late in the game, so we've got the ball. There we go, we're advancing. Now, in this situation, my preference would be to recycle the ball. Just turn. We've got 4 unmarked players behind. So this is an example of not stretching the ball. The better option there, you're kicking to a 5v2, which is not really in our favour. Just roll the ball and advance the ball, okay? Maintain that position. That's what we want to be doing, want to be doing more. So I'm going to minimise this. We will now move on to the enemy. Okay, so we'll be talking about Excelsior now. Oops, wrong side. So now we will be talking about Excelsior and some of the specifics that we've got to be mindful of with our opponent for the weekend. So there's some important things to consider about this Morton City Excelsior team. Look, their position on the ladder, it does tell a story, and it is, in my opinion, an accurate reflection of, that's where they deserve to be. I don't see them as being a top 4 team, but they're certainly a dangerous team. They've got some very dangerous players, and if you choose to play the game on their terms, disrespect them, and play the game on their terms, you will pay the price. So we need to recognise that, in my opinion, they're very dangerous in transition. They very much favour a long ball game because they have speed up front. They have some good players up front, and they have some guys who can score goals. I just don't think they create enough opportunities for them. So this is really important to note. So we need to, when we press, we've got to make sure we don't let them get to that, get up to that 10 metres from halfway where they can put in a ranging long ball that gives us problems. That said, my observation is that their back line, for the most part, when given the opportunity, look to lump it up. But what they were showing signs of the first time we played them, and I think they will be better at now, is using the space in between the lines. So where a lot of teams lump it up and the striker gets the opportunity and just tries to sort of, be very direct and flick it on or chase it, what the striker can do and what they did against us in the first game is they will actually lay it back to their midfielders and find space in between the lines. So these are two things that I want to highlight. The first of them is they are enthusiastic exponents of the long ball. And that's, there's no crime against that. It's just not especially, it's just not an especially, it's just kind of shit football. But anyway, beyond that, so we'll go to 46. Go full screen. Okay, so what they've done is they've used the width. So they've explored the width. They've managed to get it out to this point. We'll roll it through. Now he just looks up. He's just looked straight up. He's realised that they have players lined up across halfway. Okay, and he's got one idea. He just looks up to see where they are, and then he's launching it. Bang. He's got a decent boot on him too. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a good 50-metre kick in this case. And this is what you can see that their striker, he thought about using his hands because if the ball goes through, he's onto it. But Major comes through, puts his melon through it. Danger's not over yet. Okay, I think that's Francis, I think, out there. I'm not sure. Anyway, so then they go back and they have, Anyway, so that's them doing their thing. But the point of the story is as soon as he's got space time, he looks up, looks for the blokes up front, bang, route one, Old English style. I would point out, I would quantify that a little bit. This was early in the game. They did. Okay, so pausing. So once again, now this guy's not even one of their backs. This is their number 10. Very similar position on the field. Same result. He just has a look up to see where they are and then pumps it. Now, I think Luke misses it on that occasion. Good play from Mick to get rid of it. It might have even been Zachy missed it. Anyway, point of the story is, and we're away. So the point from both of those is they do look to lump it up. So that's something we've got to watch. Very, very much a long ball side. And I think that, I believe that's a factor in why they are where they are on the field, but on the ladder. For me, using space in between the lines. This is something I really wanted to highlight because this was new when we played them last. They hadn't really shown a lot of signs of doing that in the first game. Now, when I say that, we're going to go, so this is 22-27. So they got a little bit further into their game. So once they settled into their game, this started happening, and that's where these examples are. And it only really involved one of their strikers, which I think it was 15 or 5. I couldn't really tell clearly when I looked at it the first time. All right. So bang. He's got the ball. Now he hasn't really lined that up. He's just punted it forward. So there's a lot of this sort of pump it up without just pump it up. But what we do need to look at is the striker's going to receive the ball. And this boy here, and this is why I pointed this out, okay? Because this is what I'm teaching you guys trying to get you guys to do all the time. This guy's positioned himself in space between our lines. The game's scrappy, and this is what I'm saying. We don't want to play these boys on an unstructured, scrappy, hurried platform. But what's going to happen is he's going to kick the ball through. Striker receives it. Now the striker, he's not thinking about playing through. He posts up on Major. You can see there's communication there, okay? And what he's going to do is he's going to drop the ball back to this boy, and then that's going to create a second phase because once he gets the ball, options he has, he can obviously drive with the ball, or he can go and try to find through options. This dude over here with the blonde hair, the peroxide boy, he's got some pace. He could put it in through for a run in behind through Will. He's probably not going to go wide because we've got numbers there. But anyway, he's got the ball. They've created a second phase. Unfortunately, for them, Majors put enough pressure on the ball that it didn't stick. So that's good. But nonetheless, we need to watch it because if they execute that, all of a sudden it's a different ball game. The ball rolls through, good recognition of space by Riley, and we played through. We then go to 26-52. Okay, now this is the centre back. We'll go back a little bit further than this because this is an example where we need to be mindful. Okay, it's a little bit further. What was I trying to get to? 26.52. We're at 26.37. I think they go back. Okay, so they go a long way back. Now in this situation, we need to get organised. What we can't do is allow Benji to be doing this much running. But we need to be stepping up because, of course, Benji's running all the way over. And by this point in time, 24 minutes in, he's a bit buggered. So they've got way too much space. So we're going to have to be smarter about this. In this situation, what we need to do, obviously, Benji's coming across. What we can't allow them to do is move up the middle of the pitch. So, Hayden, you need to kind of move towards the middle a little bit more. So you need to kind of move towards the middle to prevent them going up the middle. Because if you then do that, what you're going to probably do, if you move there, we know that we've got Benji sliding across. So what you're effectively doing if you do that is you're buying time for Benji to get back into position. So if you move up, he's going to respond, okay? He's going to respond he's not going to drive, okay? He's probably going to draw and pass. And what you've effectively then done is you can then re-engage because what you've done is you bought us time and you've moved the ball laterally, okay? So as it is, so Benji's coming across, takes a touch forward. We don't want that. That's why we needed you more central there, Hayden. And that goes for whoever the left or right winger is. But he comes through, finds a spot, dribbles it through. Now watch. So once again, same setup. We've got to read this better because otherwise it'll be a real problem. This boy, he's found space in between our lines, okay? This boy, this is the only one of their strikers that does it. This big curly head dude. Someone might know who he is. I have no idea who he is. But what he's going to do is he's just going to set it, bang, sets it back, and then straight through. So that's the trap. So they're trying to get the ball on our side of halfway. He sets it back, and then they punt it through. And we're just good work by Zach to cut it out because if he doesn't cut it out, they're through on goal. So we've got to be very, very mindful of that because they're quite dangerous in that situation. All right. So I think I've highlighted that well. Let's move this someplace. There we go. All right. So to the lineup. Very similar lineup. We're still working out whether or not strike is the best position for us to use Mayal's skills. So for the time being, I've gone with a similar lineup. No, sorry. Similar lineup. Oh, no. You've gone. Oh, we're going to have the same starting lineup. That's right. Actually, no. What's going on here? Okay. Apologies for the confusion, but the change I have made is with the right-hand side. We're going to start with Major and we're going to start with Will. Purely form-based. We've obviously got Isaac and we've got Zach Millichay, so we can bring them in later in the game. But from the beginning of the fixture, we're going to have Mick obviously in goal, Zach and Max at centre-back, Ollie in front of them screening the centre-backs. Luke Payne retains his position on the left-hand side. Major earns a start at right back because he's just been rock solid. For this game, against a very physical team, I just think that's a really good starting point for us. We've then got Riley in the middle, Benji and Mayal up front. Now, we may change them interchangeably, depending. But I do think that starting Mayal up front's useful because they definitely know who you are, Mayal. And I'm not sure they like you a lot, particularly after that penalty. I was rewatching the penalty from the game we played them earlier, and oh my God, the carry on, which is, it's kind of like, it's what I was sort of saying. They don't strike me as the kind of kid you want to have a beer with, but they strike me as just a particularly ill-tempered bunch. So anyway, not that any of you boys are going to be having a beer with them anyhow, are you? But Will over on the left-hand side, Luke Williams over on the left-hand side. On the bench, we've got Luca, Zach Millichay, Hayden, Francis and Isaac. So we've got options off the bench. We've got energy off the bench. But hopefully I think this can get us off to the best start. God, I've got to edit Redlands there. So in any case, that's the starting lineup for the game. So we will revisit all of these points when we actually get to game day. But for the time being, I'll look forward to seeing you all tomorrow at our team function. I'll look forward to seeing you at training on Monday, where we do a quick session for my B license, and then I'll look forward to taking on Excelsior. Although, you know what, I was wondering about whether to do this, but one thing I don't talk to you boys about the ladder very much, okay? Um, but one thing I did want to point out, Excelsior play North Lakes tomorrow. So one thing I wanted to point out, at the moment, we are in fourth spot. We're on 27 points. We've played 17 games. They play North Lakes tomorrow, which would take them to 19 games. And then they play us on Tuesday, which would take them to 20 games. Now, I expect that they won't get a result in their favour against North Lakes. So that would leave them on 21 points. And then when they play us on Tuesday, if we beat these guys, we go to 30 points, they go to 21 points. That leaves them 9 points adrift. It's my opinion that if we beat them on Tuesday, we basically torpedo their season. Now, you boys probably remember well, quite frankly, all the shit talk that they went on with before the first game. I know Mayal cops a lot at school. And similarly, shit talk in the second game. Well, this is our opportunity to make a statement where it matters on the pitch, because these boys are playing social football if we beat them on Tuesday. I'll just leave that with you. I don't often talk about the ladder, but we are getting to the pointy end of the season. This is an opportunity for us to take 3 points, knock a competitor out of the opportunity to make the top four, and move ahead with our season. All right. Have a good night, boys. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you on Monday at training, and then I will look forward to seeing you again at the game where we sort this out.